My name is Matt Whitney, and I am one of the rangers here at the OKC Memorial Museum. Well, the chairs that you see behind me are the memorials for those who lost their life. There's 168 empty chairs for the 168 victims of the Oklahoma City bombing. The chairs you see today are located in 9 different rows. Each row corresponds to a floor of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, and the chair has a glass base it rests on. And on the front of that glass base is an individual's name to make that chair specific to that person, and that chair is located on the row in which they work or they visit. Also, there's 19 smaller chairs located amongst the larger ones, 15 of which are on the second row because the second floor hosts a daycare. The smaller chairs do represent the children, and for many visitors, they see pure innocence in those chairs because those kids were anywhere from a few months to 5 years old. So those kids will no longer be able to grow up, even go to college or have families of their own, and many visitors, that is one of the hardest sights to see. Just behind my left shoulder is a column of 5 chairs. This represents the 5 lives that were lost outside the Murrah building when the bomb exploded. 2 buildings would have been located right behind you on this grassy area, this serpentine path. 3 people lost their life in those 2 buildings. One was a pedestrian who was taken from us as they were crossing the street. And the last one was a rescue worker. It was a nurse who came down here as part of the rescue and recovery efforts. Her name was Rebecca Anderson, and she was hit by falling debris. She refused medical treatment, but when she got out to the middle of 5th Street, she collapsed, went into a coma, and she paid the ultimate sacrifice 4 days later. The reason we chose the chair is to remember both the presence and the absence of a loved one. So thinking back at an empty chair at a dinner table at home, and this is probably fitting for you girls since you're in college right now, is that you're gone from home, and the chair you sat in every night for dinner in high school and growing up is more than likely empty. Your families are not sitting there just thinking about the chairs. They're thinking about you and where you are and what you are doing. And that is our hope, is that family members can see those chairs, they can focus on those good memories of their loved ones and not the event that took them from them. Along with that, the chair bases light up at night, projecting 168 beacons of hope into the darkness. That gives you the impression that good is going to overcome the evil in the world. And these 2 concrete metal structures on either end of our memorial grounds, we call the gates of time. And we consider these the front doors and the exits to our memorial grounds. Now each gate is made up of 2 little slats, so there is a silent space between inside of each gate. And as you weave around through the silent space, you're able to leave the hustle and the bustle of the city behind, and psychologically and sometimes even spiritually prepare yourself for the changes that occur on these grounds. After you make your way through, you'll see a time stamp on each end, 9:01 and 9:03, the minute before and the minute after the 9:02 explosion. 9:01 we consider the last moment of our innocence because at that time we thought terrorism was strictly a foreign thing, happened far away and had a foreign face attached to it. At 9:02 a.m. all that changed. We were hit here in the heartland of America where we felt the most safe and felt the most secure, and even worse, we were attacked by an American citizen, one of our own. At 9:03 we had to move on. We picked up the pieces and we had to dust ourselves off, and we let the healing process begin. And that's what 9:03 represents, is that healing process. And that healing process is still going on today, almost 16 years later. It will go on tomorrow and next year because that healing process will never end. It will keep on going forever. But years down the road, we may laugh, we may cry, but we will still focus on the memories of those who were affected by this tragic event. Between the 2 gates of time, you have the reflecting pool, and the reflecting pool spans the area where Northwest 5th Street ran in front of the building. The pool symbolizes the change that occurred at 9:02 because 9:02 was that moment of change. The water is changing because it is recirculating. It pumps into the pool in a mysterious place and leaves the pool in a mysterious place. Just like we don't always see what's coming at us in life and where we are going in our lives are changing. Now the reflections you see in the pool are the reflections of things forever changed, the buildings, the trees, even the people. And if you would walk close to the edge and look down and see your own reflection, you would be looking at the face of somebody who has been changed by the experience. And so I usually invite you to take that sense of a reflection and realize you're the face of somebody who has been forever changed. One of the survivors we talk about here is not a person. It is an over 90-year-old American elm tree, and the tree is located just on top of our hill over there today, on top of the terrace benches. That tree sat in that exact location when the bomb went off, and it is the only tree on these entire grounds that survived the Oklahoma City bombing. In the middle of the parking lot, cars parked underneath it for shade. So when the bomb went off, those cars caught fire and they scarred the tree trunk. You can still see the scarring on it today if you would get up close. Branches were blown off and laying on the ground, and leaves were also blown off the tree. Glass and metal from the Murrah building were blown across the street at high velocities and embedded themselves deep into the tree trunk. Now, all this damage led us to believe the tree was going to die and there's no way the tree would live. The FBI even wanted to cut the tree down to collect evidence from it to use against the bomber in the trial. It took the FBI long enough to cut it down that we started to see signs of life in that tree. The city begged and pleaded with the FBI to not cut it down, which they eventually agreed. So the city rallied around that tree, tore up that concrete parking lot, let the roots flow freely again. They pruned the branches to promote healing and health and growth. And they even put its own irrigation system around the roots. They even tap on those branches during ice storms in the winters to keep the ice from building up and bringing the tree down. And we just wanted that tree to remember the hope and the resilience, because that tree today is healthier and stronger than it was even before the bomb went off 15 years ago. One of the things we do here, girls, at the Oklahoma City National Memorial is we like to have this place be for everybody, because it is for those who are killed, those who survived, and those who are forever changed. And since each and every one of us has been changed by terrorism, this place is for all of us. And so people like to leave part of themselves here. Some people choose to leave things in the memorial fence. Other people like to leave their handprint. And so what they do is they actually dip their hand in the reflecting pool, and they get their hand good and wet, and then against either the 901 or the 903 gates, they hold their wet hand against the metal portion of the gate for about 5 seconds and pull it away. And even after the water dries up, your handprint will be left there, making you a permanent part of this memorial as well. So if you'd like to, I'd like to be able to invite you girls to do that.